Shish kebab, Shawshank Redemption, Chicago! You're out of there! Go on, you're gone.
Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG. I'm your host Aaron, and for today's video we're headed to the world of Last Epoch. EHG, the studio behind Ellie, has dropped a RMT and exploit statement. They're saying get out of here, you're gone, you're out. And for this video we're going to break down their plans for the future. Now, love them or hate them, agree with them or disagree with them, one thing you got to give EHG credit for is their communication. They put it out there, they tell you their thoughts, they tell you what they are doing for the most part, and I love that they over communicate. You don't see that in very many studios. So let's see what's going on. This is a fairly long read and I'm going to try, I'll read a lot of it, but I'll also give you some cliff notes. Today, we wanted to connect with everyone regarding the recent gold exploits, as well as the exploits in general with the online environment. We want to talk a bit about what we're doing in regards to these issues and what our plans are for the future. We take exploits within Last Epoch very seriously, and they get our full and immediate attention. We strictly enforce our terms of service when it comes to exploits and real money trading, and they are banning those accounts. You're gone. I don't know why that movie scene just popped into my head when I read this and was thinking about bans. Love me some Ace Ventura. Since 1.0 was launched, we have been aware of two exploits. The first allowing duplication of items through the bazaar. We were made aware of this exploit 3 days after, and then we immediately fixed it. The second one we became aware of was a recent gold exploit, which we created and deployed a hotfix within 24 hours. So again, the second they are made aware of it, they will immediately put out a hotfix and go in the ban all accounts that are doing it. Current actions. In response to the gold exploits, we have been reviewing gold activity on an account level, identifying and abandoning those accounts that have been participating in illegitimate gold generation. We don't want to speak too much about how we tracked it, so they're not going to tell us how they're tracking it and how the account bans and how everything is working, because if they tell you how they do it, then the people that are doing it can figure ways around it, which makes a lot of sense. Which, by the way, having over 3,000 hours in this game and playing it, it just, I don't know, it boggles my mind that there are people that just want to cheat and dupe and figure ways around the systems. Like, man, like what is the fun in that? It is crazy to me how many people love this. And especially during the subathon, I had tons of people entering chat. Hey, they just hot fixed my bugged profane veil build. Aaron, do you know any other builds that are completely broken and bugged that can fill in the gap for it? Like, there is so many people that do this stuff and try to lean into it. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. That's a totally separate issue. I don't know why I brought it up, but you know what I mean. We've also banned accounts with duplicate items from the first exploit, and we have been and continue to process all the banned accounts through linked RMT services. And I have had multiple people email me and say, hey, Aaron, we are a legitimate online currency seller. We sell for PoE, we sell for Torchlight, and now we sell gold for Last Epoch. We want to work with you. So they are actively out there trying to promote or recruit content creators to put forth or to promote their garbage sites. Of course, I didn't do that. But anyways, yeah. We are aware of the inflation which has occurred within the Merchants Guild, and we are discussing methods to deflate the economy again. We expect the removal of such of this gold through the bans will help the exploit bugs and bring down inflation. So they're hoping that banning these gold botting accounts will help inflation. I don't think it will. And then what do you do to the gold that's already in circulation? The people that have bought and sold and it's transferred hands multiple times. There's no way you are ever getting that gold out. No way. But it could help a little bit. Moving forward, we want to make sure we're not just reacting to exploits and are instead working on proactive measures to prevent exploits in the first place. We're making sure to act both on the technical level and on the user level. Actions we're taking on the technical level are much harder to discuss, and they can't discuss it because then they're going to give people ammunition for how to get around it. So there is two things they are going to do. Meat and potato this post. If you screwed around, you could get a permanent ban, and there's two actions they are going to take. Now, the Lightless Arbor, the dungeon the Lightless Arbor can produce up to 12 exact duplicates of the same time. And there's a chance that that looks like you are a cheater, even though you are doing it legitimately, okay? As of right now, they don't really have a fix for this. But if there was any ban or anything on your account because of a legitimate dupe in-game, there's a link right here, support@lastepoch.com, and I will link this in the description, okay? So there are legitimate dupes. The other thing is Rune of Creation. So when you use a Rune of Creation, a mirror, it takes the item and it copies it. This also looks like you are cheating, and it's hard to tell if you're cheating or if you're a person that's legitimately using a Rune of Creation, which I use all the time. So this is one. This is one thing they're doing. We'll be introducing mirrored item card graphics to help visually represent when an item is legitimately duped. On duplicated items, the 2D art for the item will be mirrored/flipped. Now, I do think this is putting a little bit of a band-aid on it, but I get it. They are throwing things on the wall, seeing if it sticks, trying to make as much progress as possible. So your mirrored items will now have a different graphic. Okay, I'm fine with that. That's fine. That's not a big deal. This is the one that sucks, but I understand what's happening. We've also found in general that the Merchants Guild centralizing of gold leads to a fair amount of inflation by itself. And as such, we're looking into discussing inflation control methods such as implementing a gold tax on transactions in 1.1. We don't want to implement this kind of change during the current cycle, as it would be a fairly fundamental change to the Bazaar and Merchants Guild. We'll have more information confirming inflation counters, tax, and others as we get closer to 1.1. Now, Torchlight Infinite had to do this with their trade house with Flame Elementium. Most games realize that it is hard to control inflation without having some kind of tax that'll remove the currency from the market to bring prices down. And I will say, this does suck when you sell items and you see that tax. Tax really is a dirty word. I understand why it sucks. But if you are a buyer and seller, yes, you are getting taxed, but that also means when you are buying an item, it should be a whole lot cheaper. So, you know, you kind of, overall, it should be a net positive, but we'll see. If this doesn't control inflation and you're just getting a flat tax, obviously it'll make things way, way worse. In closing, we don't think it's a very controversial statement to say that abusing an exploit, ruining the game for all players is not acceptable, and that doing so should result in a ban. Dump them. They're out of here. We also acknowledge that it isn't just on bad actors, but it's also our responsibility to do everything we can to prevent these exploits from being possible in the first place. With that said, we want to be clear in stating that we acknowledge the feedback from the community concerning allowing these exploits to be slipped through, and we want to make sure that we state that we're taking these events very seriously. We are actively investigating both addressing and preventing these exploits, and no effort spared or shrinking of the issues. So that is the post. I'm glad they put it out there. I like it when, you know, I consider this offensive. Hey, you're screwing around. We are going to permanently take out your account. It is right here in writing. No surprises if you decide to make that action. On top of that, we are working on efforts to prevent it. We're going to put in a tax, and we're going to put in the mirrored item 2D art. So that is the post, and I'm pretty happy with this. I hate the tax. The word like tax to me is a dirty word, but done right, it could bring down inflation, which is good. 2 asks at the end of the video. Ask number 1. I'm hoping today is the day I have earned your subscription. I'm hoping today is the day you make the decision to push that little red button. I would really appreciate it, but of course, only if you think I've earned it. If I haven't earned it, I'm going to work harder for you. Ask number 2, check out my Patreon. Thank you to the first 127 members that have signed up. We have movie night coming up for Patreon in Discord. So we're going to have a Patreon watch party, and our first watch party this Friday is going to be Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. I can only say it 2 times. So there's a couple people in the community that have not seen the original Beetlejuice, and there's a new one coming out. So we're going to watch that as a community this Friday on Discord. First link in the description if you want to come and hang out in Patreon. It is the best way to support, and we're going to have a game night coming up with the launch of V Rising. I think we're going to get our own little server for 1.1, which should be a whole lot of fun. So check out Patreon, best way to support. I'm done. Hopefully you were entertained or at least learned something. Aaron, out.